Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 543 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Eilon, Dr. Mike Eilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our sixth book just came out. It's called I'm So Beautiful, It's Ridiculous, Unleashing and Promoting Strength, Self-Worth, and Real Sisterhood. So I want you to go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority leaders together. Fun fact, I love talking about PR with fraternity and sorority members, mostly because we have the power to change the perception of fraternities and sororities, but that involves work. That means giving a budget for your PR chair in your chapter. That means training for your PR chair. That means metrics to see if we're actually moving the needle. And that means electing folks that have some experience. It could be somebody who has a good social media account, somebody who works for the school newspaper, or something similar. It's on all of us to actively work and share all of the positives of Greek life while also living out our values every single day. If we do that, then we can do incredible things together. So let's talk to our next guest about just that. Michelle Rupp is an Emmy Award winning broadcast journalist. She is the founder and CEO of Memorable Results Media, which is a boutique agency dedicated to helping small and medium-sized businesses gain earned media coverage on local and regional television. With a background in news production and a passion for empowering business owners, Michelle uses her 25 years of experience in broadcasting to deliver tangible results. Her clients frequently see increased revenue, sold out events, and elevated visibility in the communities, with many attributing significant business growth to her media strategies. Michelle has earned a reputation as a thought leader in the field of PR and crisis communication. Her belief in the power of television as an indispensable tool for making an impact led her to televise her heart surgery. With accolades including an Emmy and an Edward R. Murrow Award, she continues to inspire through her work and also her story. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. It is an honor to have you on the show. I love having people on the show who are passionate about their Greek life experience, as I know that you are, but also very successful. And so sharing that with other college students is just a blessing. And I know we'll get a chance to do that today. I like to kind of look back a little bit at your upbringing because I feel like this was really a huge part of your life and it really kind of set sail for your direction and where you were headed. You grew up in a family that owned a small hardware store. And there you witnessed firsthand the challenges that small businesses face when competing against these larger corporations. You know, we all know who they are, the Home Depots of the world. So, what are some of those challenges that you and your family dealt with as the owner of this small hardware store?
Yep. Well, thank you. And that really is the foundation for my business and for what I do today. We did have a small family-owned business in my hometown, and the store was just the apple of our family's eye. And little by little, though, once one of the big box stores moved into town, the family-owned stores started closing, and ultimately that was what happened in our case. Our business. I remember my mom saying, "We just are unable to sell enough 1 cent nails to keep the doors open." And I look back and wonder what would some visibility, how might that have changed the outcome of the store? Now, we were living in a time where any type of advertising was paid advertising. It was paid on the radio, it was paid in the newspaper. And we did some advertising, and I've still got some of those old clippings. But there was not a thought of earned media, positioning my dad with the knowledge that he had as maybe a thought leader that might lend itself to some airtime on the local radio station, some earned airtime to get the word out about our business. And so having that experience, and then of course getting into television and understanding and utilizing the power of earned media. Fast forward now, and about a year ago, I ran into a friend from high school who lived on our street who said to me, "Hey, what would your business, what could that have done for the store?"
Yeah.
And I said, "That's why I do what I do." Because if one nugget of positive publicity can come to a family owned store that allows them to sustain, it allows them to keep their doors open, then I've fulfilled my purpose. That
Mhm.
for me, that's what it's all about. And it goes back to that root of, wow, if we could have a do-over, oh, I'd love to be able to maybe craft a different message with the hardware store and see what that outcome might have been.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, we do these things a little bit for the same reason, right? I mean, I have this podcast to try to help my younger self, even though I'm an adult now. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about future generations and the help that they could need and the access that they need to other people who have the expertise to help them. And so this podcast is just a free way to give that out to my younger self. And so we're always looking to correct prior mistakes in some way. And I see you're trying to do that today, which is so cool. And you decided on the University of Central Arkansas for your undergraduate experience. So I'm wondering, why did you choose Central Arkansas?
Well, if my mom's listening, she will say it was because you were dropped to a Sigma Nu at that point in time, and that's where he went to school. If we're being full disclosure. The other uh, reason why I chose Central Arkansas and what I, went to my parents with as to why I was wanting to go to Central Arkansas was they had a
Mhm.
really good journalism department.
Mm,
And there were opportunities because Central Arkansas was a little bit smaller of a school,
mhm,
smaller in that it's the second largest school in the state. But because it was just a smidge smaller, there would be more opportunities at that local TV station than perhaps at a larger school in the state. And that for me, I knew when I went to school, I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to do TV. I wanted to be a reporter. And so it made college easy in that I was not changing my major every time the wind blew. So knowing that going in, okay, then where's the best institution for me so that I can accomplish what I want to accomplish? Let me get in, let me get my experience, let me get an internship, let me get on with reporting.
mhm.
And so ultimately that is why I landed on Central Arkansas was knowing that there were going to be just a few more opportunities um, for me at that school.
Yeah, well, it certainly worked out very well for you. And the fact that there was a really cute Sigma Nu that went there probably didn't hurt the
Didn't hurt.
situation. But that's another story for another day.
Right.
But, you also joined Alpha Sigma Alpha sorority there. So what made you want to join Alpha Sig? What was special about these women?
It's the kindness and the authenticity.
Mm,
Before that was a buzzword even, but
mhm,
looking back, just the kindness and the authenticity and the generosity
mm,
that those young ladies had. I did not go through Rush my first year because I wanted to watch. I wanted to observe who's wearing letters and what do those letters represent. I didn't want to be influenced by the guy that I was dating at the time. Well, this is who we do mixers with and whatnot. I wanted to make my own choice, and I lived across the hall in the dorm from two ladies. One was an Alpha Sig and one was Delta Zeta. And I don't know. I had a good connection with both of them, but something about the Alpha Sig just had a deeper connection. And so at that time it was Rush. So it went through Rush. It's recruitment now, of course. And I block bidded that night because I knew if I was not going to be an Alpha Sig, I would not be happy wearing any other letters.
mm,
And I was okay knowing that if it didn't line up and with Alpha Sig, that's fine. I won't be Greek, and I'm okay with that. Obviously, I'm very happy that it lined up and it all worked out. But it just, yeah, Alpha Sig was still is a great group of young women. It was a fantastic organization to be a part of. and one that I continue to give back to even post college.
That's a beautiful thing. And recognize what Michelle is saying. She's talking about authenticity and connection. She never once mentioned some big event that Alpha Sig put on that made her want to join. It was the authenticity, right? You got to be authentic. So get rid of the speedboats and the glitter and all of that, because none of that's real, by the way. And also the connection that she had to a member, right? That one roommate or the person in her dorm that she connected with and had that deep connection with. Focus on that. Focus on one-on-one deep connections, because if you got that, then you got everything, right? And so, that's a really important message, I think, for the undergraduates to think about, because literally, I just had a guy call me last week. He's like, Mike, tell me all of the great big rush events that I need to put on in order to attract all these people into my organization next semester. And I'm like, it's not about the event, it's about the connection. Focus on the connection. Forget the event. You don't need a lot of money to make friends on campus, but that's a whole nother conversation. And you also created this great mid-morning news show in town. It's called Good Morning Arkansas, that was Emmy nominated. Later, you were an Arkansas AP winner, regional Edward R. Murrell winner. One of the things that really frustrates sorority and fraternity members is that journalists promote all of the negative stories about their organizations. And, recently, of course, we had a hazing death at Southern University in Louisiana, which is just absolutely awful. And no one's taking away from that. But also, there are obviously a lot of positive things that happen
So
around
many.
fraternity and sorority as well. So the students are wondering, and I think you're the perfect person to ask this question, how can students change the perceptions of fraternity and sorority in the media?
Yes. Oh, I love this. I love this question because it is so important to help shift that perception. And one of the tools that I've used, even with Alpha Sig at UCA, when you're doing something good in the community, we all have our philanthropies that we work with each semester, whether we are fundraising for them, we're putting on a 5K race for them, we're doing something that is positive for this philanthropy. I always go back to put together a press release. It may sound so 1994, but I'm telling you, put together that press release because that is your gateway into television, newspaper, radio, that you have something important that's going on. And if your organization is let's say you've raised $1,000, you've raised $500, and you're giving it to your philanthropy for Alpha Sig. It's Special Olympics, and so all right, let's create an event and let's do it. We can do it at the house. We can do it at Special Olympics. But let's create this event. Let's get members of Special Olympics there. Let's get members of Alpha Sig there. Let's get on Amazon and get a big check. Let's do a big check presentation. Let's send out press releases and media alerts. And whether the media shows up or not, they know you're doing something good in the community. And with consistency, as you begin to do more of sending the press releases, you don't always have to do big events, but just as you are sending the press releases over time, the media is going to go, man, I keep getting these press releases from
Yeah.
Alpha Sig, Sigma Nu, Sig Tau, what have you. Let's go do a story. Let's get up there. We've got the staff today. We don't have much else that's going on. Let's just go.
Mhm.
Let's go. And because there are so many alumni, you don't know what alumni your press release might fall into their hands.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
go, yeah, that's right. I was a fill in the blank. Yeah, let's go. Let's cover this.
That's a really, really great point. I know a lot of students are thinking, they're hearing this and they're saying to themselves, man, nobody ever trained me to write a press release. But here's the beautiful thing. If you use ChatGPT right now and you put in a summary of your event into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to turn that into a press release, it will format that for you. I mean, it's literally done for you in 2 seconds. I mean, it's brilliant. So anybody listening to this right now can absolutely do exactly what Michelle said. And you're 100% right. I mean, there's so many fraternity and sorority members that are out there in the world that might be working for that newspaper that want to take a chance on this article. And I think that also brings into the fact that, hey, we need to be intentional about our school newspaper and make sure that there's somebody who's a fraternity or sorority member working as a reporter in the school newspaper to run those positive articles for you. And if you don't have somebody that's Greek that's working for the school newspaper, guess what your job is today? To go and send somebody in there and get hired, right?
Right, right. Yes.
I mean, none of
Yes.
this is an accident.
No, it's not. And if I may quickly just let
Sure.
you know, for those who are listening, if they want to know how to put together a press release, I have a free video on my website
There you
that
go.
I give everybody because as you just said, there is a format
Yeah.
and we never get the chance to make a second first impression. And the media is looking for this particular format. And whether or not they actually come physically to your event or to whatever it is you have going on, they will oftentimes print the press release verbatim if it's in this format. And
Mhm.
so that is free to everyone. I explain how to lay it out. There's a video and what to include in it as well.
Hey, you
So
might as well give your website out right now. What's that website so they can go and watch the video right now?
sure, it's memorableresultsmedia.com.
There you go. Easy enough. You see that? All the undergrads who are listening right now, you're getting a free resource from Michelle. Go and watch the video on her website, and she will teach you exactly what that format looks like. Absolutely brilliant. You know, obviously, you've made a whole career in television, and I'm sure there's a lot of students listening right now that might want a career in television as well. That's obviously very sexy, very appealing. How should they approach something like that while they're still a college student?
Definitely. Look for those opportunities on campus. If
Mhm.
you have an on-campus television station, boy, where can you get that experience as a reporter or where can you get that experience as an anchor? If there's not an opportunity, create it. That's what I did. And we didn't have a news program at
Mhm.
UCA. We had a sports program, but I didn't want to do sports. I wanted to anchor, I wanted to report. And I approached the program manager, and he said, well, if you can get other students on board to direct and produce and run camera, et cetera, then you can do it. And I said, that's it? All right. And so then we started the following semester with a news program that is still in existence today. And so look for those opportunities. But again, if you don't immediately see them, create them. I would also encourage young students, upperclassmen, do that internship. Let me tell you, you're not going to get paid for it because you're just not. It's television. However, what you will get paid in is the experience that you get and the connections that you make. And had I not done an internship my final year at UCA, it would have been so much more difficult to get into television because after that internship, I was able to then land a position behind the scenes, and then that just set my trajectory. So, in television, without question, internships are so, so vitally important.
Love it. You're a master storyteller. There's no question about that. That's a skill that you have. How can college students get better at storytelling in order to attract more interest from other students who are unaffiliated into their organization through something like social media, as an example?
I would go back to being authentic, and
Hmm.
I would also go back to how how can that organization, how can that sorority fraternity serve someone? You don't necessarily have to razzle dazzle them. Okay. If they're students who are on campus, they've been watching. They know who's in your letters. And they know which letters that they tend to fit better with. So go at it perhaps from the angle of the relationships and the community. You could sprinkle in a little networking and you can sprinkle in the social aspect too. But young people who are looking for groups to fit in to, you want to have that good fit. And that comes across by telling that transparent and authentic story.
Mm. Okay, I like that. Now, you mentioned the consistency with the media, just, keep on pushing those press releases out. And hopefully at some point they have a slow news day and they're like picking it up, going, okay, we have some people available. Is there anything else that college students should be doing in order to pitch their stories about philanthropy, about community service that would somehow be more attractive to the local media for coverage?
I'll tell you one thing that I did with a client here. Of course, I'm in Arkansas, you're in the South. We love football and we love Greek
Hmm.
life.
Yes.
And so one of the pitches that I actually did was for a recruitment, what to wear for sorority recruitment, and utilized some members of Alpha Sig
Hmm.
and a clothing boutique. And let's talk about the different days of recruitment and what might be appropriate to wear on those days. Because you've got girls who are seniors in high school, they are headed in their freshman year and they are ready to go, and they don't know what to wear. They don't know who to ask, and they do not want to make a mistake because that would be the death of them. So we pitched this to a local station, and I have to tell you that the producer is not Greek. Um, could make the argument kind of anti-Greek, yet she loved the idea and
Hmm.
said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, people are obviously tuning in. If you're a fan of TikTok, certainly Rush Talk is something that is very popular every
Yes,
time, every year. And it just takes over. I mean, I'm now seeing a lot more articles in print media around Rush Talk and who's following who and all of the latest happenings in this soap opera of who's going to get selected to which organization at Alabama. I mean, it's just every year, it's like clockwork. I know it's
right,
coming, right? So, I mean,
right.
it's so fascinating to me how that has changed in recent times in terms of the media. And obviously, bad things do happen within fraternity and sorority life, as they do in any field. There are things, there are tragedies that happen, especially when you're talking about college campuses. Listen, Michelle and I don't have to tell you this. I mean, when you're in college, this is the riskiest time of your life. There is no question in my mind that college students do things that are probably not smart. I mean, we've seen this happen over and over again. This is obviously a time for you to learn. Michelle and I made plenty of mistakes as undergrads. I know I certainly have. No question about that. And so you learn, right? I mean, that's why you go to college. It's to figure out what is your leadership style and test different things to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So when something bad happens in a fraternity or sorority, what is your best advice when we're talking about crisis communications?
Get in front of the story.
Mm,
Get in front of the story. I now, oftentimes by the time it lands in the media, those horses are already out of the barn.
mm,
So at that point, my recommendation, no matter if you're Greek life, business, church, school, whatever the organization, not only get in front of the story, but have one voice, have one person who is speaking on your behalf. In the specific instance of a fraternity or sorority, everything gets funneled up through nationals, through headquarters.
mhm,
You're not really doing anything at the local level. That's been clamped down. Um, from a national perspective, if something has happened and at one of your chapters and the news media is just hounding them and hitting, get a statement to those local TV stations, radio stations, newspapers. Even if they aren't hounding, get a statement to them. As a journalist, one of the triggers is no comment.
mm,
I When I was on the streets reporting, I get a no comment. What are you hiding from me?
right.
And now I'm going to dig, and I'm digging it all up. That's not what you want. Come out and say something. Now, also, I'm not an attorney. And so I know that in those instances, attorneys get brought in and attorneys are saying, do not say anything. There's a way to give the news media enough of what they want and need to do their job so that maybe this is only in the news cycle one day.
Hmm.
It's sometimes it's unavoidable for it to be in the news cycle altogether. So at that point, how can we minimize how long you're in the cycle?
Yeah.
And so let's get in front of the story. Let's, issue statements. Let's do on-camera interviews. There's a lot that can be said non-verbally in an interview than something on a piece of that comes in an email or that's on a piece of paper.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And
There's
Michelle gave a really good piece right there, just talking about, the clampdown and making sure you're working with your national headquarters. If you do have a national headquarters, they are trained to deal with the media, whereas an undergraduate student is probably not trained on how to deal with the media. So really rely on your headquarters if you have one. They deal with the media all the time, and so they have people that can write those communications and get those out to the local media sources to make sure they have something to do their job, and they have the content that they need in order to get this out and then move forward, as Michelle is talking about. So really rely on your headquarters in those types of situations. I've seen undergraduates get into a whole host of trouble because they try to do that on their own without any training. And so that's when you end up with a really difficult situation. And so, kind of along those lines, is there something, I mean, we talked a little bit about the PR chair understanding how to craft a press release, certainly a very important skill. Storytelling, I think, is also a really good skill as well for this person. Is there anything else that the PR chair needs to think about in terms of maybe strategic planning around the beginning of the year when new members are coming in? What else should the PR chair be thinking about?
all of those things,
Hmm.
the strategic planning, um, potentially content on social media. Um, One of the biggest pieces of advice that I might want to give to a young woman or young man who is a PR chair is who's a PR pro that you can reach out to?
That's
Reach
good.
out to me. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to talk to you. But who is someone that can help you navigate becoming a PR chairperson? It's while yes, it is a lot about posting on social media, it's not all about posting on social media. And so, particularly if you have been elected to this position because this is a heartbeat of yours, because you do enjoy public relations and you are thinking that you might want to go into that career field, link up with someone who is in already in PR, in your local PR that can advise you, that can make recommendations. Um, Never mind the fact who's that PR pro that they might know somebody that they are happy to make a connection with that collegiate that could lead to an internship. I mean, that's networking right there. I think that is a very important step is connecting that adult with that collegiate and like I said, call me, I'll help you. um it's you don't know who might be in your alumni bank too that is also a PR pro, so check that out, find that out. And yes, Nationals certainly has a PR communications director that you might be able to rely on, but also understand that that is the PR and communications director for the entire enchilada. And so if they
Mhm.
had every PR chairperson um, leaning on them, it might begin to become a very heavy lift. But definitely reach out and again look to your alumni and see, okay, who do I know, who can I make that connection, because again, you don't know where that may lead to down the road.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. I feel like college students really lean on each other so much, but you're
Sure.
leaning on somebody else who has limited experience in the real world in terms of PR and working with the media. So just go out and find a mentor. There are so many alumni or alumni that are out there and they want to help college students. Why? Because you have nothing to sell us. You just want to learn and get better, right? You have absolutely nothing to sell us, nothing. And so we want to give back. We want to make it easier for the next generation generation. That's why Michelle and I offer our help freely because we just want you to be successful. I mean, we think about our younger selves and how we would have been better off if we had somebody like us, present day, in our lives back then. So just yeah, reach out. I mean, maybe it's not today because we have a full schedule today, but maybe a week from now or 2 weeks from now, we can carve out, a half hour on Zoom to talk to you and to give you the advice that you need. So please reach out. And LinkedIn is a great tool for you to do that and find just about anybody in your organization or somebody who works for your dream company or who has your dream position in life. So please reach out. That's really, really important advice. I love this conversation. This was so great. And I do love good food. That is my weakness is having delicious food. And I
Yes,
get the sense that you and your sorority sisters also really like very good food. So
we
I
do.
need to know the next time that I happen to find myself in Little Rock, Arkansas, where should I be going for a great bite to eat?
Oh my gosh, I have been waffling back and forth because there are two that are my absolute favorites. Um,
You can get both. I won't
okay,
penalize you for two answers.
okay. There's one restaurant. Well, both of them are farm to table.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is one restaurant that's in downtown Little Rock called The Fold, and it's a Mexican restaurant. They have amazing, good Mexican food.
Mhm.
Great tacos, great cheese dip, great guacamole. I mean, it makes my mouth water thinking about it. There's another locally owned restaurant in West Little Rock called City Silo, and they are a small business. Both of these actually are small businesses, not franchised.
Yeah.
The one City Silo is mom and pop owned. They were high school sweethearts, and they too are farm to table. And they have such a great vibe in their restaurant, in addition to outstanding cuisine.
Yeah.
But just a real great experience when you
Yeah.
go into their restaurant. And experience for me is just as important as the food.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm so happy that you gave those local recommendations. I feel like so many restaurants had a really hard time around the pandemic, and I
Yeah.
guess this is just my way of getting some free traffic to these restaurants. And hopefully they stay in business to continue to serve us and the community. And that those were two great recommendations. I say we hit the fold for tacos and margaritas. I will see you there, and
Yes.
we'll have a good time for sure.
They have a jalapeno margarita that is out of this world. It's a
You see, you're
showstopper.
speaking my language now. I mean, come on. I mean, who doesn't like a jalapeno margarita and some tacos? I mean, come on. It doesn't get any better than that.
Oh.
So, really good stuff. All right. So, if our listeners, if they want to bring you in to speak on their college campus, maybe they need your PR services or just some advice
Yes.
around PR, where should they go to connect with you?
So we've got a couple of options. Of course, you can always go to the website,
Mhm.
memorableresultsmedia.com. And that's where you're going to find the free how to write a press release.
Mhm.
The other place I really like to hang out on is Instagram. And you can find me again at Memorable Results Media. Now, with that, because it's a business profile, go ahead and start following me, and then you can send me a DM.
Perfect.
If you don't follow, the DMs go down some black hole that I may never be able to access. But if you start following and pop a DM over there, I would love to have a conversation, be able to serve in any way. And that's a really good place. I'm also over on LinkedIn as well, so you can certainly DM over there too.
Memorable Results Media on Instagram. Michelle is asking you to slide into her DMs, okay? She's literally asking you, but you got to follow first,
You
then
got to follow
slide
first.
in.
That's
Or
right.
you can just look her up on LinkedIn. It's Michelle Rupp, Rupp. And what can I say? You are just a wonderful source of information in terms of PR. I know all the PR chairs around the country are listening to this right now and really grateful for the time that you've put in here today. So thank you for the work. Thank you for being such an advocate for sorority and fraternity life. We appreciate that. And what can I say? I'm just appreciative of the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a true honor to be able to serve your listeners.
Fantastic. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this time with Michelle, I want you to like it and I want you to share it on social media with other PR chairs that really need to hear her words. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.